And all right, cool. Welcome back to another episode of If It Be Your Will podcast. As season 5 carries on, we can start to feel spring a little bit. Um, Not much, but enough to keep us focused on the sun and the summer. Um, we need it. God, what a winter. Um, Today, I have Hemlock, Caroline Chauffe from Hemlock. And Caroline, where are you coming in from?
Well, today I'm transmitting to you from Chicago, where we're also hanging on to the dregs of winter. It's snowing out here. I guess the groundhog was right, but I've
Yeah.
been I've been on tour for about a year and 3 months now. I moved
Wow.
away from Chicago in November of 2023, and I haven't been anywhere for more than 2 weeks since then. So, just deep in the road is the truer answer, I guess, to that question. But today,
Right.
Chicago.
Chicago it is. And is this a short stop before you pack your bags and head to the next destination?
Yeah, the bags have stayed packed. Yeah, I'm playing an album release show of my friends in a band called Tobacco City,
Mm,
and it's a rare moment of the full band reunion. And we'll be playing together before I set off back down south.
great. And like, just as a question, like, what is it like being on the road for so long? Like, I guess let me ask you two parts to this. What are the good things and what are the not so good things of such a long time? That's a heck of a tour that you've been on there, Carolina.
Right. Well, each of those questions have very long answers, but to try to be as succinct as possible, it is miraculous and exhausting.
Good. Nice words.
You some days it's more the former, some days it's more the latter.
Hmm,
I think the good things about it are a sense of empowerment and a sense of also connection to community,
hmm,
um, and like a kind of renewal, a constant renewal of hope, which we can all use. It's necessary for our survival individually and collectively in this moment. And the harder things about it are just it involves a lot of sacrifice
hmm,
of a consistent home, of like a proximity to the people that you care about on a regular basis.
hmm,
It is like it's my passion, but it's also a job that you're kind of always clocked in for.
hmm,
I'm
hmm.
spending way more time than I would like to in the car. I'm driving more than I'm playing music even, so that's like
Right.
a major sacrifice.
Hmm.
But yeah, at the end of the day, I do feel a great sense of fulfillment from touring. And more than even playing the music, I think it's that sense of collective hope that keeps the wheels turning.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And I think too, your music in particular throws out that, take a breath. Things are okay. Oh,
Yeah,
we
I'm
can
glad
get
that
through
that's what you
this.
glean. Good.
Even though I drove 12 hours and played 1 hour, and I'll do the thing again tomorrow. And tomorrow, it's those small little moments that really define us and add to
Yeah,
or take away from the happiness that we have. Um,
sure.
interesting. So let's kind of rewind time a little bit and like where did it begin for you? Where did music start to really become the forefront of what you were going to do?
Sure. You know, moving through nonlinear time, I mean, back to the real genesis, I was always a choir kid. I was in competitive choirs in middle school and high school and
Oh,
college,
wow.
so it was like melody and collective, group voice harmony has always been something that's really been inspiring to me and has informed my songwriting in a big way.
Mm,
But I got the guitar that I still play out on tour right now, an old knockoff Martin, is it came into my life when I was 15
right.
from Craigslist, and totally opened up a bunch of windows and doors for my creative output. And I was in a band in high school and early college that would tour between Louisiana and Texas because I'm from Southern Louisiana. And I met a band called Little Mazarn doing that, and then they asked me to tour with them in their band, and I'm still in that band. But that was the first time that I ever was on the road for a prolonged amount of time, and we actually went up to Canada to play a festival called River and Sky that I've been to a couple of times now, or a few times.
Yeah.
And I just fell in love. I fell in love with the road. It was nice to see that there could be like such a, kindred sense of community in so many different cities and states and countries, and this kind of like shared ethos that's totally decentralized but very tightly woven, with these like golden strings that defy geographical proximity and defy linear time. And it really, there's like a sense of both internal and external validation with touring and being on the road and sharing your music. And it's just felt really rewarding. But the more you meet friends too and peers in that environment who also are making some of the most incredible music you've ever heard, it's like the more that inspires you to continue with your practice. At least that's how it's been for me. So it's just a snowball effect.
That's it. That's it. That's really cool. And like, do you remember some of your first songs that you wrote? Like, I asked this because you're such a prolific writer, and like, we'll get into the song of the day because I think that in itself is pretty impressive. But like, were you always penning? Were you always like, since you got that guitar, like, was it so that you could write your own songs? Was one of the objectives of it?
Yeah, well, I always liked, I've been an avid journaler, and I loved poetry. I loved writing prose in grade school, and music. Since I was singing so much, it felt like an obvious, combination to throw the two together in the same bowl and see what would come of it. And so I've been writing. I think the original songs I had were probably when I was 13, and different showcases at my school when I was around 14 or 15. And in Louisiana, there's a lot of young musicians, and so you could be in a bar like at an open mic when you before you were of age to drink. And so that was like I was able to be exposed to a larger music community, which was something I was very grateful for as a teenager. And so, yeah, I can remember, the little dinky songs, like some of the first songs I ever wrote. I can remember the choruses of songs that may never see the light of day from when I was,
Sure.
very, very much in my adolescence. But yeah, they stick around, they linger. And thank you for your compliments too on the Song a Day collection. I definitely, there's always more, there's just always
lyrics
like rolling around in my head.
Yeah. Absolutely. I'm interested too in asking that you talked about being in a choir. In a choir, I mean, you're one amongst many.
Yes.
It's a totally different story when it's you, your guitar on stage in front of everybody else and everybody's staring at you and you're pouring your heart out. Here's my journals. Who wants to read that? It's like you cannot get any more raw and volatile in a way. How did you come to that? Like, did that take time for you to get the courage or the confidence for all those eyes and I mean, I guess criticism too, because when you're putting yourself out there, it's going to come. How did that happen for you? Finding that way that you could be that front person on the stage.
Yeah, well, I feel like, starting my performance journey in choirs was a great way to ease into standing before a room, because when you are singing in choir, you often have, the dozens of other people singing with you. And so that was like a, tiptoeing, just dipping your toes into the water performance where you have this like network of people who are all singing the same piece as you. And so it doesn't feel like all, the pressure is lower because not all the eyes are on you.
Right.
And so then like just paring down from being in a larger choir to being in a chamber choir to being in a band where there were four of us, that like kind of was a way to wean into the attention being more and more concentrated on like me and my voice specifically until I was pretty comfortable doing solo performance. I also think that open mic nights were like a great way to kind of cut my teeth with being in front of a room of people, because often most of the audience are other songwriters that are there to share their work as well. And so there's like a and again, like a community
Right.
aspect to it, this like shared ethos, this shared
Mm,
motivation. And yeah, it's interesting to think about the answer to this question, because now I very rarely feel nervous at all to be
mm. Yeah.
to be in a
Yeah.
state of performance, or to be public facing with song. It's much harder for me to do something like this, like a podcast, where I'm,
Okay.
way more prone to putting my foot in my mouth, just thinking on the spot, than I am reciting something that is a finished work that I know by heart.
Right.
Or
Right. Right.
yeah.
Now, with your catalog, I mean, it's really beautiful. I mean, you write such great songs and so many of them. What when do you know when a song is, like where it has something that's worth further exploration or
Hmm.
vocals or whatever? Like, how do you come to that? Okay, I'm onto something here.
Yeah. Well, I think like a big part of my practice, at least, is being forgiving with yourself to work with the first thought that comes to mind. At least with the Song a Day collection, that's kind of the premise behind those songs, is being able to follow an idea to its completion, even if it's not something that you're in love with. So even if I don't feel like I'm, like on to something with a specific melody or specific, like the first thing that I sit down and play on my guitar, I'll like try to follow that through and just give it, like honor that first idea, and
Mm-hmm.
and treat it with respect, and see what happens. Because what I've discovered in releasing those Song a Day projects is just that, even if there's a few songs on each of those collections that I really am like, I'm fine to never play that song again, it was in the moment, there's always someone, that song, it just shows how a beautiful thing to learn is that even if you'll probably find someone's ears that with it and feel, like it's kind of a there's no bad ideas kind of approach to it, where
Right.
um there are definitely songs that I prefer to other songs that I've written, and sometimes there's like a feeling of like, okay, yes, this is one that I'm going to revere and that I'm going to come
Hmm.
back to, and that will be a regular part of my set for a very long time.
Hmm.
But I think there's really something to the catharsis of just getting an idea out of your system, even if it's one that's far from, your batch of favorites or something.
Red winged blackbird by the lake. It is strange to be, but today.
And what was your process like for that Song a Day? Like, I was looking at the Bandcamp page, and I mean, so first, can you describe that to us? Like, what was your point? What did you want to do with this Song a Day? Um,
Yeah, so when in 2019, in February, I embarked on this project of writing one song a day and recording it on my phone that day, each day for the month of February. Um, and at the end of that month, I felt so like, um, both proud of and inspired by that practice. Like it felt like it pushed me in all the right ways and challenged me in a way that was really productive for me and my songwriting practice. That it felt like doing that for 1 month out of each year was a sustainable benchmark of trying to keep that project going as a long form thing. So it's 2025, so we're now 6 years deep into this saga, where just 1 month out of each year I do another one where it's again writing one song a day for each day of that month and recording them on my phone by the end of that day. Um, yeah,
it's a lot
it's
of
been
pressure, no? Like,
well, it's not though. I think
no?
I function, maybe it's that I function well under a deadline. It's like something
Okay,
that holds you accountable. And that's something
right.
about, my practice, both and songwriting, often being solitary, is there has to be some kind to keep me responsible to my practice, to keep me, on tour. That's like booking my own dates and making sure the ball is rolling. But with songwriting, it's often there are streaks where I can go, like a month or two without touching the guitar. And I think Song a Day is something I look forward to, because it's like, oh, when I sit down to play, like there's always something that comes out, So
Right. Right.
it's I look forward to kind of the binge like of
Right. Right.
songwriting that happens for that period of time, and it gets easier every time as well. Like
Okay.
I think the more I do it, the more my boundaries are expanded of what a song is, of what genres I like to work with, of like playing instruments that I don't know how to play, of switching around narration. It's like the more songs that I write, the more kinds of songs I feel comfortable writing or playing with.
Right.
It's playful. That's the pressure's off because it's just an act of play.
Right. And like just looking at your first one, so you put it out March 1st, 2019, and this was day 1, day 2, day 3, the titles of your songs. Were those done in order, or did you play around with that? Or it
No,
was
I
like,
did them. Yeah, they each go with their corresponding dates. So day 1 is February 1st, day 2 is February 2nd, and so on. And that's been the case for all of the Song a Days since then. My friend Rand actually texted me the other day, and he was like, I just realized that after the 12 years are done, you will have written a song for for everyone's birthday who exists.
there you go. That is very true.
Yeah.
And do you have a process that, like, for this specifically, like, because you do have a certain timeline, like, time crunch, as you said, like, what's your process when you approach, okay, day starts, we're midway through the month, you're on song 15, like, what would your typical process be in getting ready for, this day 16 example?
Yeah. It honestly, typically is a practice in sleep deprivation too, because often when I'm able to carve out time is at the end of the night, like right before down, and you're going to sleep and you've been conscious for however many hours. And I've always found it easier to stay up late than to wake up early. And so it'll often be, reflecting on a day's experience, and warmed up hands and chipping off a couple of hours of sleep for the night. And but I think there's something to be said too about the kind of unconscious or even subconscious process of how my observations moving through the world change in that month, because you're kind of like, you're porous, you're like taking in all this information, and you have to be very honed in to the kind of wonders of everyday life in order to even have something to say sometimes, right? Where it's like, what was the like most beautiful thing that I saw this day, or what like emotions am I processing? You just have to be an active observer of your environment, at least if you're writing autobiographically, which sometimes also, though, I mean, you can see something and then create a narrative and write a fictional song as well, from doing that same thing. So the process is, I guess, immersive in that way, of just this kind of keen observation of your environment, which is something that I try to carry through my day-to-day life in general, just to observe the miraculous and the mundane,
For sure, for sure. And was this ongoing when you were on tour as well, or are you settled for a month during that, recording month of the record?
I typically try to choose a month in the year where I've got the least amount of motion going on, so I don't know yet this year, 2025, what month I'm going to choose. All I know is that it can't be doubling up on any of the 6 that I've already done.
Right.
So that narrows it down.
6 months left.
Right, exactly.
To choose from.
So I've got to try to, hone my calendar in to where I'll hopefully be mostly in one place for whatever month that I choose for this year. But I've definitely had times where I've been on or touring during Song a Day. Like last year's the November project for 2024. I was in New Orleans for a week out of that, and I was in Atlanta for a week after that, and then it bops around, but it's I try to have relative stillness for that month for sure.
Nice. And as you were saying, your environment, the community that you're in during that time will play an influence on what you end up putting down on your iPhone.
Sure.
That's really cool.
Yeah.
That's really cool.
I think lead has been an important part of the practice, because there are different like kind of sound textures and emotional textures and like kind of like ethnomusicological, like different people, different peers in each space, in each city that you're moving through. And then if you allow those to be your direct influences or direct inspirations for what you're writing at that time, then you end up with a lot of like very subtly different styles of songwriting or of lyricism. Like I said, I think it's better to be a sponge. Like the more you can take in, the more you can put out theoretically,
Right. I always thought that was the most beautiful thing about a songwriter is that they scan your world and communicate your thoughts that you know don't come as natural as others would, but you have that ability to like paint this beautiful canvas of sound that they can relate to, that they're like
Right.
see themselves in.
Yeah, synthesizing a specific experience and then spitting it out in a way that it's universally relatable. Yeah,
Absolutely.
it is a. I mean, that's like a miracle in and of itself. It feels like.
It is, isn't it?
Mhm.
Isn't it? That's the great thing about music, I find. It's just that universality and the commonality, and it's just
Yeah.
something that we all share regardless of where we're from or how we grew
Yes.
up or with who, or it's like
Yeah.
it's that one connection that we can all, which makes these kinds of like podcasts so fun because it's such an easy thing to talk about with somebody that's passionate like myself and musicians like yourself. It's a match made in heaven, I'll say. Um, so, Carolyn, tell me a little bit about 444. So, from what I read, and please correct me, but this was kind of an assembly of some songs from the Song a Day, some other track singles that you had. Can you kind of paint the picture of how this record came to be?
Sure. So 444, we self-released because I function as an entirely independent musician. So we self-released that last October
Mm-hmm.
2024, and
Mm-hmm.
it is I guess the elevator pitch, is that it's the best stuff so far of the Song a Day songs. So all 12 songs on the album are from the Song a Day practice, and they span the entire collection. So there's at least one song from each of the Song a Day months so far included in that kind of
Oh, cool.
compilation album that was totally kind of like souped up, and reimagined with a band of some of my dearest friends here in Chicago,
Mm.
Bailey Menzenberger, Andy PK, and Jack Henry, who are fantastic musicians, just so intuitive and so enthusiastic, and I'm blown away by them consistently. And
Mm.
yeah, we all kind of chose the songs together, sifting through the hundreds that are there, and all kind of picked ones that felt particularly exciting to us, or like thematically important to the narrative arc of what we were trying to say with the album, like paying respects to the Song a Day as an entirety.
Mm-hmm.
Which is why the opening track is Day One. That harkens
Right.
to the very first Song a Day song that there ever was.
So what the
Um,
song that sparked it all.
yes, exactly. Yeah,
That's
so that's
cool.
the true genesis. The true like opening moment. And yeah, I feel really proud of it. I feel really honored by the collaboration too of the four of us, and what everybody brought to the table to kind of make it the most dynamically diverse and also like kind of genre pushing album that we've put out so far. But they're all Song a Day songs, and I believe that
Mm.
we'll be recording again in April, and I'm looking forward to that. But I think we're going to continue on with this kind of like paying more respects to some of these Song a Day songs that otherwise get kind of buried in the mass of
Yeah,
this like pretty extensive body of work. So
absolutely.
mhm.
Absolutely. That's so cool. So, kind of to bring things to a close here, thanks again for joining me. Like, great
Thank you.
stories. I love your process of how you brought this to be, and this record too is just so good. Um,
Thank you.
what does 2025 hold? I'm assuming you're back on the road touring, and is there more music coming in 2025 that you can share with us?
Sure. I'll keep on. I'm a lifer. I'll always be chipping away at the old. There will always be. There's another song for those, respective months whenever they present them. I'll be touring through the month of August this year, I believe, straight. By the time I hopefully find another bedroom again. But yeah, just the wheels keep on and turning. There will always be more, but there's an EP I'm looking forward to putting out that was recorded with another friend. There's a solitary album of demos that I recorded in a best friend's backyard in Texas of solo demos. There's all these things that I'm sitting on. But there's a lot of eggs in the nest, and we'll let them all hatch when it's their turn.
Excellent. Well, let them come as they come. You got to nurture them and keep them warm and
Yeah, yeah, I'm
positive
doing my best.
nature around them. Absolutely.
Sure.
Well, it's been a real pleasure. Again, thanks so much. And
Thank you for your
I
time,
really
Chris.
look
Yeah,
forward
it's
to
been a pleasure.
hearing some of the new stuff. But I'm still enjoying 444. Great record,
Thank
people. Go get it. Catch Hemlock on tour as well, because we know she'll be out there somewhere.
Yeah.
You gotta find
Yeah,
her.
throw a dart at the map, right?
There you go. Get a t-shirt,
Mhm.
buy a record, go see a show, support these artists. So thanks again, Caroline. It was great.
Yeah, my pleasure.
How does anybody get out?